Welcome to Bierkritik.
Tonight on Bierkritik, you know it, I know it, with an APV of 4.2. The first mainstream light beer. First created in 1967 as Galbanger's Diet Beer by Joseph L. Oades, a biochemist working for New York's Rheingold Brewery, but given to Peter Hand Brewery of Chicago. The same year renaming it Meisterbrau Light.
And we all remember Meisterbrau from the vacation movies.
Yeah, that was Uncle Eddie's beer choice. Now, Meisterbrau fell on hard times and sold several of its brands to Miller around 1972. Well, this was introduced in 1973 as light beer by Miller. And throughout the years, it became known as Miller Lite in 1998. Second only to Budweiser is the light beer market. It's one we all know and love. It's one that we both enjoy.
One that I got him started on back in the day.
Got me started on back in the day, yeah. So.
And proof that you don't have to be literate to make it in this world.
Yeah, because who spells light L-I-T-E? Well, apparently Meisterbrau was the one that started that. Because then Miller's like, oh, just keep going with it. Fuck it. You know?
My guess has always been that whoever read it at Miller thought that was the way it was supposed to be spelled.
Could be.
I mean, if you've ever tried Genuine Draft, Miller Genuine Draft, or, well, no, Miller Genuine Draft, you know there's not a whole lot of intelligence rattling around up there.
That's true.
Dang it.
Yeah, this is one that, doing research, is a much older beer than what I had imagined. I mean, it went through two different names before it became Miller Lite, and now it's world renowned and everyone knows it.
A fine Pilsner beer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's kind of interesting for being in a can.
What's that?
It's made by Ball, the jar company.
Yeah, a lot of the cans are.
I knew the bottles were. I didn't know the cans were. Feels like a travesty to be twisting open a beer on this channel.
Yeah, but it is what it is.
Years ago, I was dating a girl whose dad drank this all the time. He got me started on it. So I got him started on it. And his brother.
Yeah. And with these, that's one way to do it.
Even with the way I pour it, wouldn't quite hold 16 ounces.
No.
You know what? Hell with that. Cap. They're going to take up a little more room than the others, but
fuck it.
by God, they're going to turn into magnets too.
I mean, we all know what to look for. It's a light beer. It's light in color. That's nice golden straw color. Kind of
And dumped all over my lap.
Kind of a heavier scent than that Michelob Light Ultra, Michelob Ultra Amber we tried last night. But
That's pretty good stuff, though.
it was very good. It's Miller Lite. As the ad campaigns always said, tastes great, less filling. It's Miller time.
This is one of the few beers that I have drank a lot of.
Oh yeah.
I have gotten far beyond the realm of just mere intoxication on this beer.
Oh yeah.
Yet my body doesn't immediately reject it as soon as it smells it.
It's one of those beers that, yeah, like I said, it's a go to any bar, any store, anywhere, you're gonna find Miller Lite.
Like Keystone Light, it's back in the day when I may or may not have been younger than I'll ever admit to. It was really cheap and it was available. I drank so much of that shit that if someone opens a can of that near me, I start getting sick just from the smell.
Yeah.
It's like Jägermeister. This fucker saw to it that I could never drink Jaeger again.
It was a bad night. But, like you were saying, Miller Lite, you know. Now the question is, what we really want to do the review over mostly is, compared to the other beers that we've tried, does this one still hold up?
Comparatively speaking, I mean, depending upon how you want to say it, I used to, this used to be my go-to beer. This was what I drink when I went out. This is, whatever. It's not that anymore. This isn't as high on my list as it used to be, especially since we started this channel.
Yeah.
It's nowhere near like the, what the hell was that called?
Which one?
The good one. Newcastle.
The Newcastle Brown Ale. And like we said, ales, so far ales are winning.
Yeah, it's nowhere near as good as the Newcastle one. In my opinion, it has a little more bitterness to it, but it really doesn't have any extra flavor. It's just extra bitter over the Michelob Ultra.
I'm not really getting much bitter so much.
It's the aftertaste of bitter that hits me.
Kind of. It's a light beer. It doesn't have a lot of flavor, but
I'd say it's right on par as far as flavor goes with the Michelob Ultra.
yeah.
It's just the aftertaste of this hits me more than the Mich Ultra does.
Yeah.
Which means if I was going out to a bar somewhere and eating something, I'd rather have a Mich Ultra. That way the aftertaste doesn't fuck with what you're eating. However, on that same token, if my choices were this or that, what was it, Bad Kitty?
Yeah.
Or Beck's, I'd take this in a fucking heartbeat.
Oh yeah. This is still one that if I went to a restaurant and they had just your basic beers on tap, your Budweiser, Bud Light, Miller High Life, stuff like that, and this would be the one I'd go for. I've had several restaurants that had beer on tap that I've had Miller Lite,
It's just like, at 10:45 at night, the only person at the party that's still sober is your realistically kind of inept buddy, so he's the one that gets sent on the beer run. This is what you tell him to get, so it's not too complicated.
Yeah. And that's the thing about Miller Lite is it's not complicated. It's a good drinking beer.
It's easy to drink. There's not a hell of a lot of flavor there, but the flavor that is there is nice. Mm. It does have a little bit of a bitter aftertaste for me, but
it's
nowhere even near Budweiser.
no. I mean, and I like it much better than Bud Light, which I know is, especially around here. You say anything against Bud Light, it's an absolute blasphemy. But I've always preferred this more. Bud Light has that Budweiser just to it,
And we live near enough Springfield that I understand it is kind of a civic pride thing because there is an Anheuser-Busch bottling plant, or is that a full-on distillery?
I think it's just a distributing plant, actually.
Either way, there's a big-ass building up there that says Anheuser-Busch on the side of it, so everybody thinks, yeah, our money's staying bullshit.
Well, it's also, Anheuser-Busch is from St. Louis, Missouri, and we're from Missouri, so it's the thing that everyone grew up with, because, especially in a time when beers were localized, that was, if just beers from St. Louis is all you could get, people had just a few choices, Budweiser or Falstaff, or I think there might have been a couple other ones back in the day, but mainly Budweiser was your selection if you were in a local market, So,
yeah, and
people got used to it.
Every time you think back to the Budweiser commercials with Clydesdales in the, upstate New York looking snow area and everything else, just remember, those line fucks are from St. Louis.
Mm-hmm. That's true. I mean, one thing I do have to say about Anheuser-Busch is they do know how to make good commercials, especially during Super Bowl time. Their Super Bowl commercials are pretty good, and some of them are...
I'll never forget the frog commercials.
Oh, the frog. Yeah, Bud. Who can forget those? Especially growing up, especially in our age bracket, that was it,
It really was. I mean, that was good shit right there. And you also have to hand it to Anheuser-Busch that they know what they're doing as far as, a large company staying relevant, keeping revenue up, and staying open and profitable as long as they have.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, in the grand scheme of things, that's actually pretty fucking impressive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, you've got a lot of companies that do every fucking thing going out of business every fucking day.
I think mainly how they've stayed afloat is knocking out competition. I mean, they've bought out so many different brands, and basically a lot of the big boys, the Millers, I guess Pabst even was one of them, but Miller's, Coors, Anheuser-Busch, through their mass marketing and worldwide distribution have, like we said, knocked out some of the smaller breweries and stuff like that. But I'm not saying their tactics are always good, but...
And what I'm saying is the fact that they've had the money to make those purchases says something.
Yeah.
They have always kept revenues up. They have always kept sales up. I mean, just like we talked about in a different review, doing the canned water.
Yeah.
And things like that. They've always come up with ways to keep their doors open. And you got to hand it to a company after this many years.
Oh, yeah. I mean, a lot of companies have folded during the time of their being open and because of them being open, but then they've stayed relevant. Then again, so was Miller.
Very true, and I don't honestly know how long the Miller Brewing Company has been open, but the fact that...
I'd say relatively about the same time, really.
Probably. The fact
Milwaukee,
that
Wisconsin.
they've stayed open as long as they have, and they've stayed relevant, and, Miller High Life, the champagne of beers with how fucking nasty it is. has always sold well enough to keep their doors open.
Yeah.
It says a lot for the marketing and sales tactics of a company.
Absolutely. I mean, well, that's capitalism. You gotta have good sales, good marketing, and you keep your doors open for 150 years. You know.
Capitalism at its best. The market decides what stays and what folds.
Yeah.
That's why my favorite brand of automobile no longer exists, because the government stepped in and fucked the company.
Yeah. Yeah, you get the government involved, especially as we're talking about General Motors. They come in during the recession and do away with several brands, but of course they keep Cadillac and Chevy, naturally. But they get rid of Pontiac and keep Buick.
And Oldsmobile.
And they got rid of Oldsmobile too.
Oldsmobile went for a year or two longer than Pontiac did.
Mm-hmm.
And the way they did away with Pontiac, I love Pontiacs. I will drive Pontiacs for the rest of my life. There is not another GM product I will ever buy. Just because of how pissed I am at them killing Pontiac with the fucking G6 and the goddamn Aztec being the last vehicles Pontiac put out.
And let's not forget the bastardization of the GTO.
It's almost as bad as the Charger.
Yeah.
And I am not a Mopar guy, but a four-door fucking Charger is a travesty.
Apparently they make good cop cars though, I mean, so... But Miller Lite, I mean, look at that metal can bottle. It's kind of a can bottle hybrid. That's kind of cool. I saw it at the went to the gas station to get a pack of smokes earlier and saw those. Like, fuck it, why not? It was 2 for $3.
That's actually what made this my favorite lake beer and barbecue beer for a long time, because you can open this, drink some, and put a cap back on it.
Yeah.
So, you flip a kayak, you don't lose your beer.
It floats.
Walk off for a couple of minutes from the barbecue grill and come back, you don't have 25 flies floating in the fucking thing.
Yeah. I mean, as far as the flavor, I mean, it's a light beer. You're not going to get a whole lot of flavor, but...
And one thing I've heard a lot of people say about the aluminum bottles specifically, these do not impart an aluminum flavor to the beer. If you drink the beer out of the bottle, it may, but that's more of a smell thing than an actual flavor thing. If you pour it out into a glass, like, a human being, it doesn't.
Yeah. Beers are put into bottles for you drink it out of a bottle or a can for convenience, but any self-respecting beer drinker, even if you go to a bar, you might have the bottles and everything, but go for whatever's on tap. Because especially Miller Lite on tap is fucking awesome.
Oh, yes.
I mean,
every beer on the market is better on tap. And honestly, that is entirely a temperature control thing. The companies take more time to temperature control all of the kegs from bottling through shipping to the end user. They stay in coolers. They stay the same temperature, so you don't get those cycles of hot and cold, where they'll go in an unrefrigerated truck, then they go back into the cooler at the store, then they sit in the back of your car and get warm, then they go into your fucking fridge. That's what kills the flavor of beer.
Yeah.
Oh, one more thing about the aluminum taste in beer. Talking about on tap.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's somewhere around 45% of kegs are actually aluminum now. So if you can't taste the aluminum in every beer you've ever gotten from a tap, you can't taste it in the can either.
Yeah.
Same time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, Miller Lite, in my opinion, it's an oldie but a goodie. It's been a standby of mine for years, and it always will be. It's one that it doesn't matter what gas station, grocery store, bar, I mean, the littlest, nastiest dive bar in the, just off the square of the littlest fucking town in the U.S. has Miller Lite.
Yeah, I mean, it's one you can find everywhere.
So, it's a good one in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's not the best, but it's by far not the worst.
It's
easily in the upper half.
Yeah, as far as light beers, it's definitely one I go to. Still, I would go to it any day. If went to a bar and they just had, we got Budweiser and we got Miller and you got Miller Lite.
Miller. Yep.
Well, we'll go for a Miller Lite, Now, if they had others on tap like Newcastle, I'd go for that.
Or Hams.
Or Hams.
I want to find some place that has Hams on tap.
Yeah.
I've actually thought about getting a keg of Hams just so I could try it on tap.
Do people even have kegger parties anymore?
Mm-hmm.
I would imagine they do, but lots of people are, especially nowadays. We used to hang out back in the day, We'd meet up at a place, hang out, then we'd find a party somewhere. Maybe if it was in a fucking field or someone's house, and there'd be a keg,
Something else that phones killed. Back in the day, to socialize, you had to be face-to-face with somebody.
Yeah.
Now you have to be on Facebook with somebody.
Yeah.
I'm deleting my Facebook account, by the way. Fuck that thing.
Yeah, I used to go to keg parties and stuff like that, and now everyone doesn't seem like anyone hangs out anymore. And when they do hang out, they want to sit on the damn phone all fucking day.
Yeah.
That's
One of the last girls I was talking to, I was sitting across the table from her having dinner at a restaurant. My phone rang in my pocket. I didn't want to look at it because that's, inconsiderate and kind of being an asshole, yeah.
It's rude as fuck.
So I just ignored it and sat there and kept trying to talk to her, and a couple of minutes later she goes, "Are you going to read my text or not?" You're close enough to me to ask me that question. Yet you text messaged something to me rather than speaking. We're done here.
Yeah, this ain't gonna work. Anyways, Miller Lite, still good. Still a good beer to try. Good beer to drink. Find it anywhere. I still love it.
As far as you can get it anywhere, beers, miles away better than anything Anheuser-Busch makes. That's all that really matters.
Pretty much. So, try you some Miller Lite. Enjoy the history of it, because it definitely has a history that I was never aware of. They always advertise as, the original light beer, which is technically true. Not fully, because it was originally the Gatlinger's Diet beer, and then it was Meisterbrau Light, and then it became Miller Lite.
No, then it became Light by Miller, then it became Miller Lite.
Yeah.
Technically it's the same recipe, so technically they're just not quite lying.
Yeah.
But they're right on that edge.
Yeah.
Which, it's clever marketing, so
Yeah. Still the same recipe and everything. Technically, it's the first light beer. So you got to give it to them for that. So, tastes great, less filling, Miller Lite. Gotta love it.
So, as always, have a good day or evening, as I hope it is while you're watching this. So you can enjoy yourself a beer, drink responsibly, and don't drink or drive. Or maybe you should seriously start thinking about an IQ test.
Yeah. And on that note, we'll say goodnight.
Good night, everybody.